of our video, but we should get live views of the Cygnus spacecraft here in a couple of minutes.
Stage 1 TBC is nominal.
Attitude nominal.
Vehicle attitude remains nominal. Power nominal.
Vehicle passing through max Q.
Vehicle now passing through max Q. Core pressurization remains nominal.
You are looking at live views now of the Cygnus cargo spacecraft approaching the International Space Station, under 400 meters now. The vehicle's most recent burn, a ADV burn, approached delta velocity. This was the fourth burn. It is going to have Cygnus rendezvous up to a 250-meter hold position that is just outside the keep-out sphere. Right now, the vehicle is inside the approach ellipsoid. There are two invisible lines around the International Space Station. You can see in this graphic here the approach ellipsoid and the keep-out sphere. That approach ellipsoid denotes joint operations because of station safety. Once the vehicle gets into that keep-out sphere, it is monitored even closer by flight controllers. It also gives the crew on orbit command capabilities as it is so close to the station. As of now, Cygnus is inside that approach ellipsoid on its way to the keep-out sphere. For arrival today, on board we have NASA astronauts Woody Hoburg and Frank Rubio. They are on tap to capture the Cygnus spacecraft. They're going to be using the station's robotic arm. At the end of the arm are snares and a lead. Lead stands for the latching end effector. It's the hand of the arm. Inside are those latches and snares that will grab on to the grapple target of the spacecraft. They will then be maneuvering it to the nadir or Earth-facing port of the Unity module. And after that, they will hand it over to our robotic operator here in Mission Control Houston to install it to the space station. This is a cargo resupply mission. There are no crew currently on board the spacecraft. It is delivering over 8,200 pounds of supplies, experiments, and hardware to the crew. Here we have a breakdown of that weight. This is Northrop Grumman's 8th contracted resupply mission for NASA under the Commercial Resupply Service CRS-2 contract. It's their 19th total resupply mission to the International Space Station. Flight control team members here in Mission Control Houston are preparing to do a go-no-go once they reach that 250-meter hold point. Right now, Cygnus is reaching 300 meters from the space station. Here in Mission Control Houston, a couple of very important console positions playing a role in Cygnus's arrival today. We have our flight director, Fiona Turret. She is NASA's 100th flight director, part of the class of 2021. Her call sign is Mosaic. Working at NASA was always the goal for her through high school. She went on to achieve a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering from Washington University in St. Louis and came to work for NASA. She supported the final 2 years of the Space Shuttle program and also worked on the Gateway Lunar Outpost and the Human Landing System, that's the Moonlander programs, prior to being selected as a flight director. Sitting next to her is, in the background there, is our Capcom, that's our capsule communicator position. That's Megan Harvey. She is going to be our voice link today between the crew and the flight control team. Our visiting vehicle officer today is Nick Lopez. He is communicating between Northrop Grumman and the flight control team, keeping track of Cygnus's performance and milestones. We also have our integration systems engineer, Lisa Malam. She is responsible for monitoring key systems and operations of the Northrop Grumman vehicle for NASA. Looking ahead on our milestones today, the Cygnus spacecraft is currently headed into a 250-meter hold point. After that, teams will have pulled a go-no-go. It will then reach a range of about 100 meters. And at 30 meters, we will have another hold point. Our first capture is scheduled for 5:55 a.m. Eastern Time, 4:55 a.m. Central Time. NASA astronauts Woody Hoburg and Frank Rubio will be using that robotic arm on the space station to capture the vehicle. After that, they will maneuver it to the installation site. At that point, they will pass it over to our robotics operator in mission control. They will methodically align it and push it into that common berthing mechanism. Then will come a series of latches and bolts to attach the spacecraft to the space station. After we have a successful berthing, the crew will conduct leak checks on board before opening that hatch door and starting to unload the cargo. A call out from mission control team members that everything looks good as the vehicle is approaching its 250-meter hold point. Cygnus is currently navigating with LiDAR. LiDAR is light detection and ranging. These are laser sensors that ping off of different reflectors on board the station. It gives it high fidelity data on its distance, rate of closure, and where it needs to line up to help guide its final approach. Cygnus will be installed on the Earth-facing port of the Unity module, also known as Node 1. This was the first U.S.-built component of the International Space Station. It connects the Russian and United States segments of the station and is where all of the crew eats their meals together. The Unity module was carried into orbit in 1998 on the first space shuttle mission dedicated to the assembly of the station. That was on STS-88, carried on Space Shuttle Endeavour. It is a tradition for Northrop Grumman to name their Cygnus spacecraft after a pioneer in space exploration who is deceased. They are proud to name the NG-19 Cygnus spacecraft in remembrance and celebration of the life of NASA astronaut Dr. Laurel Clark. She was an accomplished undersea medical officer and naval flight surgeon prior to her NASA career. During her first and only spaceflight, the STS-107, Dr. Clark and the rest of the crew aboard the Space Shuttle Columbia tragically lost their lives when the shuttle did not survive re-entry into Earth's atmosphere. This Cygnus spacecraft flight comes almost 10 years after the original Cygnus demonstration flight. That was SS David Low on September 18th of 2013. The two wings you see coming out from the side of Cygnus are its solar arrays. They are circular in nature and provide electrical power for the vehicle. We got confirmation that both of those solar arrays have deployed successfully and are successfully drawing power for the vehicle. Attached to that is the pressurized cargo module, as well as a service module. The service module provides the power, propulsion, and navigation, while the pressurized cargo module is where all of our cargo is inside.
Station Houston on Space to Ground 2 for Cygnus.
Yeah, 2 for Cygnus.
Confirm Cygnus 250-meter hold per step 2 in 1.102.
Copy. We see visiting vehicle mode hold. We do have a gray corridor displayed. We have matching LED status as expected. Good frame counter incrementation. And primary range is 252. And Megan, let me know when you're ready for a Block Bravo report.
Copy all. Ready for Block Bravo.
Okay, Block Bravo, the light is within the corridor. The vehicle is approximately 25% larger than the outline. The light is half a vehicle starboard of the circle, and the circle is half a vehicle port of centerline. And we see that per monitor 3.
Copy all. Thank you so much.
Capcom Megan Harvey speaking with NASA astronaut Frank Rubio, who is currently on board the International Space Station, working through those procedures to prepare and make sure that everyone is ready for the spacecraft's arrival. Everything is looking good so far. When we are just about 1 hour out from that initial capture window. NASA astronaut Woody Hoburg will be prime for that capture, with Frank Rubio assisting him. We are heading into orbital nighttime, but a great final view of the Cygnus spacecraft with those two solar arrays fully deployed. Cygnus is currently at the cusp of that keep-out sphere. You can see a graphic here that demonstrates both the keep-out sphere and the approach ellipsoid. That keep-out sphere is extremely close to the station. It is monitored by flight controllers. It's used to govern vehicles approaching and leaving the station. It allows for 4 orbits of safety if the vehicle were to lose control. Very unlikely event. Everything looks good so far today. NASA Mission Control team members are in joint operations with Northrop Grumman's flight control team. They are located in Dulles, Virginia. This is a view of that Northrop Grumman Mission Control in Dulles, Virginia. Cygnus was developed by Northrop Grumman and is part of NASA's Commercial Resupply Services program for the International Space Station. It is flying autonomously with commands being sent to it. There is no crew currently on board the spacecraft. Flight control teams in Houston are now polling for that go, no go for the vehicle to cross that keep out sphere.
Station Houston on 2 for Cygnus.
Yeah, 2 for Cygnus.
Cygnus and ISS are configured for approach inside the keep-out sphere. Expect approach to resume shortly, and stand by for the Cygnus PCS command checkout.
Copy all, and we are ready for step 3.
Copy.
Capsule communicator Megan Harvey speaking with the crew on board. They are ready for Cygnus's approach. That capture is still on schedule for less than an hour from now at 5:55 a.m. Eastern Time, 4:55 a.m. Central Time. We do have an initial capture window as well as some different backup attempts if necessary. Cygnus is now proceeding to a 30-meter hold point.
Cygnus has resumed approach. Go for Cygnus PCS command checkout. Hold arm for step 3 in 1.102.
Every copy, go for step 3. And we see visiting vehicle mode as approach with primary range decreasing.
Copy approach, range decreasing.
Range for the Cygnus spacecraft is decreasing. That means it is getting closer to the station. When it reaches 30 meters from the station, it is going to enter another hold point. Teams will do a go, no-go for it at that point for that capture attempt.
Houston Station on 2 for step 3. Hold command is armed.
Copy. Hold arm confirmed. Go for Cygnus PCS command checkout, disarm, per step 4 in 1.102.
Copy, go for step 4.
NASA astronauts Woody Hoberg and Frank Rubio are performing a series of checkouts to prepare to use that robotic arm. It is currently braked on board the space station. It's not moving, but they will be using it to capture the vehicle here shortly.
Houston Station on 2 for step 4. Hold command is disarmed.
Copy. Cygnus PCS command checkout was successful. Begin monitoring approach from 250 meters per step 5 in 1.102.
Copy, monitoring per step 5.
NASA astronaut Woody Hoberg is prime for Cygnus's capture today. He was launched to space on March 2nd, 2023 as part of the Crew 6 mission. Next to him is NASA astronaut Frank Rubio. He just celebrated his 300th day in space on July 18th. He is one of only 4 American astronauts to surpass 300 days in space on a single mission. Those other astronauts are Scott Kelly.
Station Houston on 2. Cygnus is inside the 200-meter keep-out sphere. Crew now has authority to issue an abort if no comm with MCCH, and the light is outside the corridor.
Copy all, Megan, and let me know if you are ready for a Block Bravo report.
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay, we see the light within the corridor. Unfortunately, current lighting conditions do not allow us to assess vehicle size or light offset from the circle, but the circle is half a vehicle starboard from corridor center.
Copy all. Thanks.
As you heard from Capcom, the crew on board does have the authority and ability to issue an abort for the spacecraft in case something goes wrong. However, things are looking good for Cygnus, and the team has full communication with the vehicle. You heard NASA astronaut Woody Hoberg commenting on the darkness, that he could not assess the size of the vehicle. As you can see here, that is because we are in our orbital nighttime. We are expected to be back in daytime in about 25 minutes.